On this week's episode, the bad guys steal the box office. Is Halo prepared for battle? And how long is too long for a video game? All this and more as we once again delve into the pop culture cosmos. And we're back with another episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos. This is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and the Lakers Fast Break. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our shows. And if you can, please give us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. Plus, if you could like, share, subscribe, follow, or do anything that you can to support us right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanican Media, Game Source, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, The Lakers Fast Break, PopCultureCosmos.com, and everything that we do right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos, because we're the #1 tabletop RPG streamer on Facebook. In fact, we have a game running right now in the Scarred Earth that DM Mitch is running right now. So you can go ahead and check it out today at Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook. Plus, we have the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every time out right there for you at Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook. But it wouldn't be a Pop Culture Cosmos without my good friend. He is our own bad guy for Pop Culture Cosmos. You got to check out what he's doing today at popculturecosmos.com. Humanica Media with his great shows, the Super BS Gamescast and the back episodes of Topicocalypse, plus his great book, Congratulations, You Suck, which is available today at Barnes & Noble and Amazon. It is my good friend. It is Josh Peterson. What's up, man?
What is up? I'm about to go see Fantastic Beasts, and I want to see what this movie's all about, and I'll have some thoughts next week. But excited, I got my wish. I told you last week I wanted to go check this thing out, see if I can sort through what's anger about the author versus anger about the film, and I'm going to do that. It's my mission.
Well, that's your mission, and you're going to see if you can cut through it to see whether or not it is worth your time out there in theaters. I still think that they're going to go ahead and finish the 5-movie arc or 5 whatever arc they're going to end up doing for the Fantastic Beasts. Whether or not it all ends up on the big screen is still yet to be debated. But
Yeah, well, I saw it's sitting at like 207 million right now. So I mean,
yeah, so it's
technically,
not.
it's in the.
I mean, if it was for this period of time, it's not a bad result, but it is the lowest by far for any of the Harry Potter related movies.
I mean, technically, they're in the black, right? When you say you're in the black, that means you're profitable.
Well, remember the old rule. The old rule in Hollywood is 3.5 times to 1, whatever the production budget was. So I don't know if the production budget was 150 million. So if that's the case, then they're still need a little bit more to go before they start.
I think that I read is sitting at like 200 million was the budget for the film.
Then yeah, it's going to take a little bit more than that to go ahead and get it into the black if that's the case, because I guess you got to talk about as far as the distribution of the film and of course the promotion of the film as well. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, usually it's 2.5 to 3.5 times to 1 as far as the ratio of what you need to make over what it costs as far as the production is concerned. That's usually the ratio that I've been taught or learned over the years. So we'll see. We'll see. You never know. Warner Brothers, in the end, may be able to fudge the numbers to make it look good. But we'll talk about that as the man himself, Mr. Josh Peterson, goes ahead and checks it out, and he'll let us know his thoughts on the Fantastic Beasts next week on the show. But for this week's show, we got a lot of good stuff lined up, including our own box office recap. That's coming up in a minute. Speaking of the wonderful Fantastic Beasts, the latest movie that's come out has an appearance by none other than Ezra Miller. His appearances in Hawaii seem to be always going wrong, so we'll talk about if it is time to go ahead and cut bait on Ezra Miller and Josh's idea for a replacement he got in trouble too. So we'll talk about that coming up here in a minute. Halo had its episode 5 and one of its first real battles of the series since episode 1. We'll talk about if we liked or what we didn't like about Halo episode 5. I'll mention about where Tokyo Vice is going to heads up, as far as because where Tokyo Vice is already in episode 7 and 8, so we'll talk about Tokyo Vice episode 6 and 7 coming up here in a bit as well. The new Star Wars video game that was announced from Skydance has a familiar face that's going to be a part of it. We'll talk about how we should be excited for the new Star Wars video game coming up in the distant future, most likely, but with a familiar face, and that's coming up on the show as well. Plus, Josh and I will be talking about a game being too long, or is it? How long is too long of a video game? We'll have that conversation on the show as well. But first, my friend, it is the box office, and wow, not an overwhelming number by any stretch of the imagination because you had a lot of competition at the box office. You had a lot of movies out there to check out. In fact, you are going to go ahead and check out one here in a little bit as far as that's concerned. So I want to hear your thoughts on this. With the box office here domestically, the Bad Guys has seemingly taken the top spot for this weekend. Looks like it's going to be just under 25 million, which is not a huge amount. I know that nobody's doing backflips over at Universal over it, but it is something that, again, did take the top spot. Could be something that leads into a series for the Bad Guys. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 held firm. Fantastic Beasts kind of dropped way too much as expected. But The Northman finished number 4, and unfortunately, Nick Cage, in a movie I was really rooting for, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, that came out in fifth. So your thoughts on this? The Northman is getting a lot of acclaim. It's actually a lot better than what I thought. I was reading the wrong tab last week on Friday. It actually has got an 80 on Metacritic right now, so it's very well thought of. The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, that's also garnering some acclaim, but not a whole lot of moviegoers. They're kind of like treating both these films as art house films. When it comes to what you see in the box office this past weekend, the big numbers and the big drop for Fantastic Beasts, The Northman and The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, maybe they should decide to go on streaming instead.
So the Northman, both Northman and Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, like these are films that weren't advertised at all. Like you go on TV, don't see any trailers. You go like out in public, there's no posters or anything for these movies, not even at the movie theaters. So
I saw Massive Talent ads. I didn't see too much in the way of The Northman outside of what IGN was putting out there for them.
the Massive Talent, like I didn't see anything except for like internet banners and the little like 30-second clips they should make you watch before you turn things on like IGN and stuff. But
Mhm.
outside that, I didn't really see much advertising for it. The trailers for it. I mean, it looks hilarious. I would like to check it out at some point. And the Northman looks amazing. But yeah, they both do look like art house films. You know, like those things that are outside the realm of people who like to just watch the big budget films. The Northman, from what I understand, is in fact an art kind of more of an art house film because it's slower and it's darker and it's not what you think it is, but it
Yeah.
still looks like a very beautiful film. And I'm really like itching to see that one. I still got to watch The Green Knight too. Like that's another one in that vein that was something I meant to watch.
I did watch The Green Knight. It is good. It does stretch itself out a little bit too thin at times, but
Mhm.
it is a pretty good flick. I did enjoy it. I think you'll probably enjoy it too. And The Northman, I am going to catch. I last week I thought, well, I heard that maybe it's not gory enough, but then it's got a rated R, so I'm not figuring out why that is. Then I
It,
read more into it, and then I
yeah.
I actually find out it actually is being rated very highly. So I'm like, okay, I think I might be able to give this a try. I think I want to go ahead and see what it's all about because it's going to take that. Is it a Viking movie? Is it not Viking movie? But whatever kind of movie it is, it's still going to be something I think I want to check out.
Right, and it kinda reminds me of that tone of There Will Be Blood, like, it's not you go into a movie like that expecting it to be one thing, but they subvert you by making it something that's truly, like, story and dialogue, character develop focus instead of, like, a spectacle for you to kind of like a visual feast. It's more like narrative, and it's focused on the more like artsy side of film. And I feel like Ethan Hawke's having a renaissance of his career right
You
now
know it,
too.
right? Tell
Yeah,
me about it. Well, he isn't in the movie long in the Northman. I do know that. I know that his
he's got some poster time though. Like
yeah,
that's big.
oh, of course, because he's a name out there, but he does get some time in. I do believe he plays the father of Alexander Skarsgård. So I think something happens to him from what I'm seeing as far as it's concerned. That's the impetus of what drives the Northman as far as that. And I won't go into too many more spoilers because I know not everybody has seen it yet, but it is getting some really good reviews. So I want to go ahead and restate that. But so I'm going to go ahead and check it out. I know Josh wants to as well. But the bad guys, let's say this. I mean, yes, I know $25 million at the box office is not an overwhelming number, but at least it's a start that maybe will garner some interest. Maybe it'll be a nice holdover when Doctor Strange 2 comes out, that it'll be like anti-programming for it, that it might actually be something that people might go ahead and check out. Or if it's going to be a fight for family dollars, as far as the family going out and checking one movie or another, they may stick with Sonic the Hedgehog 2 instead.
You know, this one was a weird one for me. I did know Sonic 2 came out, but this one, when I saw because good animated films in theaters, let alone, are a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
And when I saw the trailer for this, I just assumed, I guess, that it was going on to some streaming service. You know, I thought it was
Yeah.
maybe Peacock or whatever. I didn't know that it was Universal. I was assuming it was DreamWorks, because that's what
It
it
is.
reminded me.
It's DreamWorks. Yeah, I should say.
Okay.
Is it? But they're working in unison with Universal on this. I think
Oh,
it's like the Boss Baby. It's for the
yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe they are, because I know that DreamWorks is really into those like computer animated films, and those
yeah.
ones, they're hit or miss. Like they're usually really big hits or they're flops. Like our Over the
It
Hedge
is
was
Universal Pictures though with DreamWorks on this. Yeah,
okay, okay, because I know like Over the Hedge was something that was like, oh, okay, that was all right, and then you have something like Shrek, which is just, people go bonkers over it. So it's their movies are hit or miss. But that being said, like I did, like I said, I saw the trailers for this, but I didn't assume that this would be something in theaters, let alone make anything that would make it a contender. But I know there's certain interest groups out there that are really into things like this, as well as this is probably meant to be marketed to kids, but I also hear that's more of like an adult oriented film as well. So it's a very, I don't know where the market niche is, but
it
obviously
is. It
people
is
are watching it.
PG, so it is PG, so it can't be that really risque. So
Yeah.
but it does feature an all-star cast. The only thing is so funny because somebody pointed out to me the other day that Mark Marone is one of the main voices in this, outside of Sam Rockwell, Aquafina, Craig Robinson, some really familiar voices in there. But Mark Marone's in it, and somebody pointed out to me, "Isn't that the guy from the podcast?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's the guy from the podcast. It's the guy. He does actually do work outside of the podcast that he's well known for." So a lot of
Wait, what podcast is it?
Mark Marone. He is the one. He was one of the kings of podcasting. So I'm glad you
Oh,
haven't listened to it. So yeah, he's a comedian, but yeah, he actually has a major podcast. That's one of the top podcasts that are out there. So the
oh,
WTF with Mark
yeah.
Marone podcast. Yeah, it's always him or Joe Rogan that are right behind us as far as popularity is
Oh,
concerned. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah,
yeah,
we're number
absolutely.
one on
There
the
you go.
charts.
Absolutely.
Charts.
With a bullet. There you go. But it is the bad guys. They are stealing the top spot here domestically at the box office. Again, it's not a huge number, 25 million, just under that. But still, they do capture the top spot. But it seems like there's a lot of choices for people out there, whether you want something more darker as far as what you're seeing with the Northman. You can even catch the Batman still in theaters or on HBO Max. I caught it on Monday, really enjoyed it. I will say that also as well, the unbearable weight of massive talent with Nick Cage. If you are into that Nick Cage renaissance, I'm really hoping that he gets back into some sort of limelight after struggling for so many years with all those VOD movies that he did. So I'm
Yeah, it
hoping
sounds
that,
like he turned down a lot of big parts too. Like I was
yeah,
reading The Matrix and Lord of the Rings, like all could have
yeah.
changed a lot for him.
It could have, but he didn't want to go overseas for those extended period of time.
Mhm.
So he didn't want to go ahead and spend time in Australia or New Zealand for that long of a time that it needed to go ahead. Because remember, the Lord of the Rings was filmed back to back to back, and
Yeah.
then the Matrix films. Well, the first Matrix film was obviously something that they didn't know was going to be hit, but then they filmed, I believe, the second and third movies back to back, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah. Yeah. Those
yeah,
were years after the first one too.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Good point there. But it is the bad guys, eking out a win over Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Fantastic Beasts with its big drop. But could Fantastic Beasts find a fan in Josh? He'll let us know on next week's show. But share us your thoughts on the box office. If it's something that you want to go ahead and check out, is there a movie before Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness drops? Is there a movie right now you want to go ahead and check out at the theaters? Please let us know. PopCultureCosmos at yahoo.com. Well, there's still much more to talk about on today's program, my friend. Okay, word of advice if I was an agent for Ezra Miller, just stay away from Hawaii, man. Just stay away from Hawaii.
Just stay away from everything. Like this guy is
He's
like
going to be
the
kicked off the islands, man.
he's like the a kid who walks into a store and you have to constantly tell them to stop touching things. Like he just can't help himself. He's punching women in the face. He's threatening to stab people. He's throwing chairs at women. I mean, he seems to especially target women for some reason. But
Yeah.
how is this like how I don't understand like how is he able to keep both of his franchises yet Johnny Depp who had nothing proven against him at all gets fired from the Harry Potter movies? Like how does that make any sense whatsoever?
Well, it might not be for long that Ezra Miller keeps his job in the Fantastic Beasts movies along with Johnny Depp. And Johnny Depp is someone. It was interesting because in the trial he mentioned that he is no longer part of the Pirates of the Caribbean movie series if that ever gets back underway. And that's
Mhm.
something I wanted to pose to you at Pirates of the Caribbean, but I'll do that here in a second now that we're touching on it. But it is Ezra Miller who got arrested once again in Hawaii for second degree assault. I know it feels like a police blotter on the show, but with the Flashpoint movie coming up at the end of this year, it's still scheduled, amazingly enough, for the end of this year, which is very interesting to see. I want to ask you this. Is it time for DC to cut bait? I think it is. I think
Oh,
that the
for
second,
sure.
yeah, I think it's time. I just think it's really time to go ahead and do
Yeah,
so.
absolutely. You know, they can get rid of him. They can either incorporate the Barry Allen from the CW show, which a lot of people really, really want,
I'm
or
thinking
they
that is.
yeah, yeah, or like I pointed out last week on the show that Barry Kogan, is
Barry
that what
Keoghan, yeah,
Keegan,
who
yeah,
plays he's in the Batman for just like 10 seconds. You don't get a really good look at him as the Joker. And actually after I heard him, maybe that's probably the best because I'm not really getting into his Joker. And
oh, yeah,
I saw
I've
the extended cut with him with the scene with him that they cut out. Yeah, it's just not
yeah, I got like 45 minutes left of that movie, and I'll talk about that at a later date. But he kind of looks. I think I we talked about this right. Like he has the Ezra Miller kind of like facial structure, so I feel like he could easily jump back into those reigns
but
too.
he just got arrested for disorderly conduct.
Really?
Yes.
What is going on with these like Warner Brother actors, man? I don't know.
I don't know, man. And he's on the Marvel side too with the Eternals. So
Eternals, yeah, that's
yeah.
right.
But
I'm
he could just say, okay, I had too much to drink. I'm gonna stay on the right and good, and
yeah.
he still could.
Whereas Ezra
Yeah,
Miller, on the other hand, has
yeah.
had quite a few things. But this is a good opportunity, you know, for them to do the Flashpoint, get rid of Ezra Miller, bring like I absolutely Robert Pattinson makes a bad Bruce Wayne, but a really good Batman. So I think that if they were to like pool all those universes together or whatever and kind of just reboot and restart because I know that the people buying Warner Brothers had mentioned that they want Superman to have a bigger part and everyone's like, oh, is Henry Cavill coming back? Nobody knows, but there's so much that they want to redo now that they own Warner Brothers. So this might be a good spot for them to do that with the Flashpoint's capability to just overwrite everything.
It is. It is. I am rooting for Grant Gustin. I am really.
Oh, absolutely.
The reason why is that again, I've over the years, and you know this, you've been the brunt of this as far as hearing me over the years really lambaste the CW as far as all their DC shows and how the fact that nobody sees it. They've got like the minuscule of minuscule ratings, and
Yeah.
the one success that they've had out of it, I think, of anything, maybe you could say Arrow, is actually The Flash. It is their cornerstone show.
Run for 8 seasons, yeah.
Yeah, it is something you could say, maybe supernatural, or something like that as far as it's concerned. Maybe because that was like how many years, like seasons for
On
15,
season
16.
14 or something when
Yeah,
it's
something like that. Yeah, I mean, okay, yeah, you could go ahead and say that, but really, of the series that they have out there, The Flash is the showcase for them. And Grant Gustin seems like a good kid. He seems like someone that really is wanting to be a part of the Flash. I mean, he recently signed on for another year, another season. So I really think the kid should be the way. It shows that the DC TV stuff would not be all for a loss as far as it's concerned, because I think when it comes down to it, eventually they're going to have to do something where they're going to have to move all this stuff over to HBO and Discovery, just and
Mhm.
showcase it there. I know it's there anyways, but I mean showcase it there as far as first run. Go ahead, because CW, the minuscule ratings, I don't know how much longer they can go ahead and tolerate that. But you do have Grant Gustin. I think it could be a success story if he actually
Hey,
becomes the Flash after Flashpoint.
yeah, and he's earned it from what I from the years that he spent doing The Flash. His show, like his acting alone, he's a very endearing character and he's a very endearing actor, and just his prowess on that show has kept the CW afloat, in
Yeah,
my opinion. So I think that he has earned a chance to do this. What would also be kind of neat is to have, a Green Arrow DCU and have Stephen Amell do it, because I was really pushing for that, back when they were bringing everything together. But he's in WW or WWF, whatever it's called now.
WWE, but he,
Yeah,
well, he doesn't really do a whole lot. He's not really involved with that too much yet at this time. Maybe he'll get more involved now that Cody Rhodes is there, but I will wait and see on that. So we'll speculate on exactly what's
yeah,
going on with that universe. But yeah, there's still a lot, like you said, that needs to be fixed now that the merger's happening, and they took care of a lot of things. Warner Brothers, Discovery, they took a lot of things that are there. They've taken it out. CNN Plus, they decided to go ahead and pull the plug on that. They're
hmm
probably going to move all those shows over to HBO Max. Discovery, are they going to make it a Discovery front faced channel? Are they going to make it a streaming platform, or are they going to make it HBO? I think they should stick with the HBO face and then mold all the CNN Plus and Discovery Plus into that. Personally, I
yeah.
really
Well,
think
it's
that's the one I
hard.
think that has the most numbers, the most name
Absolutely.
value.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that Discovery though has so many channels under its umbrella, because I have Discovery Plus. I'm kind of a sucker for like shows that show how people build swimming pools that I'll never be rich enough to afford. But when you turn on Discovery Plus, you see like HGTV, DIY,
Yeah,
Discovery, Animal Planet. Like you select which network you want to watch. So they just have to figure out like how to design the face of it so it doesn't feel overwhelming, but still is able to incorporate all those great shows that people love from all those
I think
networks.
Disney Plus does a good job of that. When you go there and you see the different channels that it has, as far as
And
Marvel, Star Wars, National
right.
Geographic.
It's very clean. Disney Plus's interface is very clean. Like I struggle with Hulu because it is absolute chaos when you turn on
Yeah.
their interface. But
And
it,
HBO Max has a lot of chaos going on. It has a lot of things going on. There's a lot of big name movies and television shows that I don't see right away, or that I have to search out. And if I don't know about it, I won't know it's there, which I think is a problem. I think their interface has to go ahead and be redone, I think
yeah,
personally. And hopefully that this merger will give them the opportunity to go ahead and do that. Again, they gave the axe to CNN Plus, which I think was all right. I'd rather do it early on. I'd rather do it early on than go ahead and drag things out, because there's a
yeah,
lot of these streaming outlets that are struggling right now, and they're
mhm,
just trying to go ahead and drag things out, and that's just not working out for anybody. So yeah,
yeah. And
yeah.
do you think anyone actually has? I know it's a rabbit trail here, but do you think anyone actually has any interest in streaming news networks? Like, it doesn't matter whether it's CNN, Fox News,
Fox
um,
Nation is their
oh yeah, like I personally like. I was reading 10,000. They have 10,000 subscribers. Cool, but why though? Like it just seems like that's far too depressing to want to sit there and have to stream stuff like that over and over
Well,
again.
CNN Plus doesn't matter all the shows, the travel shows, and everything under the belt, or Fox Nation with all the news shows and things of that nature. It's kind of funny that they had Passion of the Christ on that network, which
Yeah,
was
that's
something
weird.
that,
Who?
yeah,
What
it was.
network? What studio owns Passion of the Christ?
But I will say this, that with the number of subscribers that you need to have in order to sustain the content that you have, it needs to be a big number. I mean, we're seeing right now with Netflix that has lost over 200,000 subscribers and more, considering what they lost from Russia, but also worldwide and domestically, they're hemorrhaging numbers right now.
Yeah,
And of course, their stock dropped, what, over $54 billion in value in the past 3 days. It's
yeah,
amazing to see how much subscribership is driving these streaming platforms. You've got to keep that number high. And if you don't, you've got issues and you've got problems. I mean, right now, HBO Max is still on the rise. They gained another 3 million subscribers. They're at almost 80 million subscribers right there for you. So it's still, you got to drive it forward. You got to go ahead and keep those subscribers. And when you're not, that's a problem. And like I said, I thought HBO was smart and Warner Brothers was smart to go ahead and drop CNN Plus if it wasn't making the numbers. All these other streaming outlets, if it's just not making the numbers, cut your losses now, because
yeah.
the losses are just going to pile up.
Oh, absolutely. And that's just there's your they have other banners that are going to be more profitable. So why that you could easily just say like, hey, I want to take this CNN show and I'm just going to throw it onto HBO Max. Nobody because
Yeah,
they've already got CNN programming
they're
on
all
there.
they're all together. They're all
Yeah.
together.
So
Or you could throw it on CNN, the main channel. There you
so
go.
why exactly? So why waste money holding a streaming network on your shoulders? It's not profiting anything.
I think it comes down to, like with Fox, it was CNN and some of these others that, oh, all these other entities have a streaming platform. We got to have one too. It just seemed like everybody wanted to
Yeah.
jump on that train. And you and I have been talking about this for over a year, that eventually we would have to see the market oversaturated. We would
Hmm.
see the
Oh,
market
it's
just,
happening.
yeah, it's already happening. So we would already see some fallout from it. Remember Quibi? That was out for like 10 minutes, and just like
Yeah, well,
Quibi,
CNN, like,
it's
goes
gone.
back to their record, yeah. Yeah, and plus, like, if you look at it, it was a dumb idea from the start because CNN and Fox News, both their viewership numbers have been plummeting in the past couple of years, so
Yeah. I don't know. It just really is just something that it's there for people, but it should be added on to a larger thing. As far as I'm concerned, as far as those news outlets and those shows that they
Mhm.
have, as far as on the CNN Plus and Fox Nation and all that. So,
Yeah.
be that as it may, it's still out there as far as the streaming wars continued. But I think that sends a message as far as with CNN Plus and also Netflix about how these streaming platforms are going to go about their future, because it's very interesting to see some of the damage we're already seeing from these streaming wars, some of the
Yeah.
fallouts we're seeing, and this should be a warning sign to the streaming platforms to make sure they just can't have everything and then some. They got to go ahead and make sure they provide a value price, and they also have to make sure that they provide a lot of content for what you're getting.
Yeah, it was I think there's one called Fubo
Yeah.
TV,
Yep.
where
The
it's like
Tubi TV, all these other
Tu
TVs off the working off the
Tubi,
stick.
yeah.
Yeah.
They have one where it's like it's paid for by advertisers, so it doesn't
Yeah.
really cost them anything to uphold, and if people stop watching it and the marketing money goes down, they just keep cutting content off of it, like, it runs itself, so, I mean, that's a good model, but, yeah, if you're pumping millions of dollars into having a streaming app like this and expecting a return on it, you might be crazy unless you are HBO Max or I mean, like you said, Netflix is kind of flailing a bit these days
Well,
too.
Netflix is considering doing the thing where they're going to go ahead and bring out, like Peacock does, with a lower priced ad supported tier. They're talking about doing that. Of course, they've been threatening forever about the password sharing thing, about putting the nix on that as well. So we'll see what happens with these streaming
Yeah.
outlets. Yeah.
We'll
So,
see what happens to their numbers too when they do that, because I guarantee you a lot of the views that they're getting are multiple household, passwords,
yeah.
people watching them. So I don't
Yeah.
know. It's be interesting.
It's going to be very interesting to see how this lays out. But Josh, I think you and Melinda and I got to get together for a special show one of these days on the streaming outlets and the streaming wars to really go into deep on that. I really would like to go ahead and do so because I think it will really be a special showcase for our listeners. So we'll see what happens there. But it is the streaming outlets. But one last thing before we hit the break is the Pirates of the Caribbean. I said I would touch on that. Is there a future you think for the Pirates of the Caribbean? I think there is still going to be a future for it. I know it's not going to be with Johnny Depp, but I think it actually could be something relatable on Disney Plus.
Yeah, I mean that's one of those things that it's just the magic of it is experienced in the movie theaters. I don't know if on a streaming platform that's going to really do the grand scale of it justice. I know they're working on something with Margot Robbie, who I'm not really a big fan of Margot Robbie. Like it has nothing to do with Harley Quinn and all that. I just like she's never done anything that's really wowed me. So maybe she will with Pirates of the Caribbean, but I feel like Johnny Depp I feel so bad for the guy right now because he's just lost everything based on something that has not been proven, and in court even like looking at just how much he's just his life has been destroyed by something that again has not been proven. So I'm curious how many of these movie production companies are going to sit here later on and go like, if assuming all this comes out and it's proven false in the end, they're going to be like, oh man, we really messed up by not by jumping the gun and getting rid of this guy. Because Pirates of the Caribbean, it is Captain Sparrow. If they're that people is just synonymous with Captain Sparrow. And like he mentioned in his interviews, they've not stopped selling merch from him. They've not stopped selling his image. He's still on the ride and all that. So I don't know. I feel like at this point, if they want to have a clean slate with Pirates of the Caribbean, they need to just reboot, start it over, reboot it for a new generation, incorporate a new like these new stars, create a new storyline, something that's not connected to the old pirate movies, and go from there.
Well, I will say before we head to the break is that there could be a series that could be in the works for Pirates of the Caribbean on Disney Plus. I think it could be a success because we're already seeing one pirate show that you and I didn't care for that is garnering huge numbers on HBO Max in Our Flag Means Death, and that is pirate based. Even though very little of it is seen on the actual ship itself, they do a lot of set work there, but still, it gives you that impression. So I could see Pirates of the Caribbean doing something like that that's very similar on the Disney Plus platform, but we'll wait and see. But what are your thoughts out there on all the streaming news that's going on and all the streaming action? The highs, the lows, the ins and the outs, and all the rumors and innuendo? Please let us know. PopCultureCosmos at yahoo.com. Well, coming up after the break, Josh and I are going to be talking about how long is too long for a video game. And then we'll close out this show with some talk about Halo Episode 5, Tokyo Vice Episode 6 and 7, and a new Star Wars video game from an old familiar face that we certainly would love to see once again making a video game. That's coming up after the break. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos. And we're about to close out the show. It's the Pop Culture Cosmos. Josh, Halo Episode 5. They got into battle this time, but those special effects, man, it just seems like something's holding them back. It just, I know that a lot of the stuff came around as far as what they had been trying to work towards to over the previous episodes that you and I were struggling through, that some of it came to fruition as far as taking the motion chip out of it, as far as with the Spartan soldier and her having issues, and then obviously the artifact that they found, the second artifact. Of course, the UNSC and all of their bumblingness lose it, end up getting it stolen by the Covenant, and then having them in the process having a major battle that's supposed to give you the feel of the video games. It was to me at times a little bit cartoonish on the special effects, but your thoughts on Halo Episode 5?
So the special effects I didn't really notice being a bad thing. I kind of like after seeing it reminded me of one of the old game trailers. They show the live action trailer for like Halo Wars or Halo 3 or whatever. Um, the story really like bummed me out here because they have all these things like they're very cheap. The story seems very cheaply put together. So a few of my critiques here is one, we have the part where yeah, they lose the artifact. The whole thing with what's her name putting the gun grease in her hair and dyeing her hair red and all that. Like, her character was developing, and I kind of liked that. And then they kind of did this thing where, oh no, it's so much blood, it's so much blood, right? And she passes out, and then Chief jumps off the moving warthog or whatever to save her.
I like
I
the guy that's gurgling blood right in
Right.
front of her.
It just doesn't make any. It didn't make any sense to me. Like why that is like she's not experiencing war for the first time. Her just emotions
She said she was up to it. She's been in
are
battles before.
put there, right? So why do like what? How does that make any? How do those threads come together? They don't.
Yeah,
That doesn't make sense to me. The other one was Master Chief finding. Doesn't really make sense how he's able to like see his memories in the house, without the help of Cortana or whatever.
yeah.
Like that didn't make sense. And then the whole thing with him, the worst part of the show to me was when he figures out what Halsey did to him as a kid, and they just show this dumb scene where he's leaping through the air going, "Arr!" Like what were you gonna do? Like, were you gonna tackle her? Were you gonna push her? Were you guys gonna land on a slip and slide and like slide further into a swimming pool or something? Like, that did not make any sense. Why show him sideways? Like, any cool thing, I guess, would just show someone walking up and like either choking them or like putting a gun to their head or something. Like, why? What was with the leap? Like, that was dumb. That was really, really, really dumb to me. I'm sorry. Like, it had some cool parts, but it still is not doing anything to make me feel attached to the story. And don't even get me started on the Quan and the other guy. Like, that is beyond ridiculous to me. Like, who cares? Why are you showing this to me?
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't agree with you more. It's just a worthless plot storyline. Again, they mixed all these elements that are familiar to video gamers that are into Halo and the Halo series and the Halo lore, and they just mix mashed it in its own narrative. And they sprinkled a little bit of familiar stuff to keep the Halo fans interested. And I don't know. It just, to me, it just seems like it's been a waste of time so far. And again, the special effects, even though I finally got to a battle, finally a part where I really wanted to see, well, I was kind of interested in seeing, and I was kind of let down over and over by they almost ripped it like from the video game itself and said, okay, we're going to superimpose this on you. And it just seemed like it was just floaty. The Covenant was floaty. Covenant was just not really realistic.
Yeah,
And I mean, they're supersized in the
the
series.
brutes.
Yeah. And, just they're not that big in the video game. Master Chief is 7 feet tall, if I'm not mistaken, in the video game and in the actual lore. He's actually but
Yeah,
here he's just like, just like a regular average dude, just a
regular
little bit
dude,
taller.
not winning any basketball games. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so weird what they're doing with this show. And the fact is, again, if you are not a fan of the Halo series of games, this is more for you. This is better for you than what Josh and I are going through. But still, the floaty special effects, I couldn't get past. It was just really disappointing on that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's been hitting with the special effects. It's been pretty good as far as leading up to it. But once they get in the battle, I noticed that the first episode I complained about it, and the fifth episode I complained about it, and they're the only two episodes that actually have real battles in it.
And
Imagine that.
how did the artifact end up on the ground, but the Jeep still made it to where it was supposed to go? Like, they
The
didn't really
Warthog.
yeah, they didn't really explain how that happened or why that happened.
Yeah, it's ridiculous right now with Halo. We're having issues with it, but we're going to keep on going through it. We're going to keep on trekking through it because we have a commitment to go ahead and supporting video game entertainment properties. So we will go ahead and continue to do so. But are you having the same issues we are with Halo? Please let us know. Are you enjoying it? Because if you are, more props to you. Please let us know your thoughts on Halo, Pop Culture Cosmos at yahoo.com. A show that I find much more interesting is Tokyo Vice, episodes 6 and 7. I love the fact that HBO is dropping not one, but two episodes each and every week. And Ansel Elgort's character, not too bad. In the sixth episode, he gets set up. I will just say that as far as concerns some information and a tip that he thought was reliable, unfortunately was not as reliable as he thought, but it was for other reasons. And then you find out the other reasons in the seventh episode as the police officers involved, like Ken Watanabe, the great actor that he is. his police unit goes ahead and brings out another police unit as far as an officer that may not be working on the same side as the police officers. He may be working with the yakuza, and that's drawn out in episode 7. So very interesting to see what takes place. This still the side story of this American young lady that's trying to open up her own club, and I know it's loosely tied into the yakuza because the main
Has that
yakuza
gone
that
any better, that whole side plot thing?
not really, not really. I mean, they devoted less and less time to it, so that's okay. I mean, but they're still devoting some time to it, which I find is a problem. But again, it's also leading into as far as the fact that the main star on the side of the yakuza, this young yakuza rising star in the ranks, he is good. He is really good and really one of the best reasons worth watching, along with Ken Watanabe, also as well Rinko Kikuchi from the that you're familiar with from Pacific Rim. She was the co-star along with Charlie Hunnam from Pacific Rim. She is fantastic in her role as a chief for the newspaper that Ansel Elgort works at. So yeah, just some great performances so far, and I think Tokyo Vice is really, really good. A really strong series so far, as long as it sticks on to the Yakuza part of the investigation, because then it becomes this crime thriller that is really, really, really hard to miss.
Okay. All right. I mean, it still sounds like it's got a lot of mystery and intrigue to it. Like it's still packing a punch dramatically. So, um, that definitely makes it sound like something that's worth watching. I would like to go watch it at some point. I keep seeing trailers for it as I'm going through the Batman,
It's
and
pretty good. It's pretty good. I
yeah,
give it a good rating.
yeah, it does definitely looks like I something interesting fell across my news feed the other day. They had, I guess, Ansel Elgort did something a while back that he's being accused
Yeah,
of, and they
yeah.
kept questioning the cast members of West Side Story, and like they have these brand new actors on the scene who were hoping this would be their moment, but they just kept getting asked questions about Ansel, who um has been proven innocent, not proven innocent, but like
He's denied these
denied the
allegations.
allegations. Yeah, so I that just seems like it's such a shame to mirror someone's first movie in scandal of somebody else that's not even involved with you. Anyways, yeah, I mean, I still think he's a good actor. I don't know what he did or if it's true or not, but I still think that there's some talent that he's able to bring to certain things, and I'm glad this show is working out for him.
I'm glad the show is working out for him too. But I'm again, those allegations, if they're proven correct, then
Right.
obviously that
Oh,
needs to go ahead.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. But
yeah.
I think for these actors, I think we need to go less to that system, let stray away from the system of like, hey, nothing's proven, but we're gonna fire you anyways, because we're creating this like Johnny Depp
But it's
situation.
always an image, man. It's an
It
image thing.
and
Sorry,
yeah, I get that. I get that. It's just I
it's
don't
going
know,
to be an
just
image thing.
how much how much talent is being just destroyed on the off chance that they
Well, we
did or
see
did
with
not do
the
something.
latest production from Aziz Ansari, I think his directorial debut got held up because of an allegation from on Bill Murray. So Bill
Yeah.
Murray, his career now is in question because of an allegation there that stopped production on a movie that they were going to ahead and be doing with Seth Rogen, him, and Aziz
Mhm.
Ansari in his directorial debut. So, who had
Very
some issues himself and allegations himself in the past. So, it's a big issue in Hollywood, and it's something that you got to keep clean. You got to keep clear because if you don't, you know what, that can derail your career at
yeah,
any moment. But
it's hard because not everybody has a skeleton in their closet of some kind, and not to justify what they're doing, but if it's going to get to the point where there's like nobody left to be in movies, which might be good because that brings some new talent on the scene. But who knows, man? Who knows? It's just we're reaching this point where they're eating their own. It's kind of been, I guess, entertaining in a way to see all this go down.
in 2 years, I will be the next superstar out
I
there.
know Avatar 7, Gerald Glassford.
Oh, there you go. I'll take some of the Avatar money. What can I say? There you go. James Cameron, sign me up.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
it is Halo and Tokyo Vice. But if you've got some thoughts on Tokyo Vice, if you are liking it as much as I am, or if you're not, please let us know. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Well, my friend, it's been a great episode. But before we head on out, Skydance announced a new Star Wars video game for their fledgling, or just in a somewhat new phase, as far as, because Skydance Media really hasn't advertised themselves as a video game entity or video game production company. So they're really starting to get into it now as a video game production company. And there's a development studio and all that. And they're now announced a Star Wars game is in development with an old friend of ours who we've been a big supporter of, none other than Amy Hennig, the creator of Uncharted. So I want to hear your thoughts on this. Amy Hennig has tried this before with EA, where she was in charge of a Star Wars video game, and EA at that time, which was totally against single player narrative driven games, gave her the axe, only to go ahead and release Star Wars Jedi Order just a couple years later. So your thoughts on this, because I'm really excited that she's doing this again, and that she's finally going to go ahead and be able to do this. It's seemingly enough that she's going to be able to go ahead and complete a Star Wars game in her vision. Your thoughts on Amy Hennig returning to the world of video games and returning to the world of Star Wars as well?
So, one, I feel like without her being fired and the backlash that they got for that, I don't think we would have had Jedi Fallen Order. I'm pretty sure because that Jedi Fallen Order was the game that she was working on with Visceral. I think they just used recycled assets for that because playing it, it does have the look and feel of an
Kind of
Uncharted
does.
game. Yeah. So that being said, I am beyond excited to see what she's going to be coming up with, because I guarantee you we're going to get that action-packed, narrative-driven experience that we were hoping for originally. And with both Jedi Fallen Order and whatever she's got coming out here, I think it's going to be a very great opportunity for Star Wars games. And whether they're published by EA or Skydance or whatever, or I think they're still published by EA, but they're just being developed by
Yeah.
Skydance. But I think that there's a great opportunity for them to really expand on the Star Wars mythos, especially with whatever the future holds for Star Wars right now. Everything seems very uncertain outside the streaming platform. So any opportunity to expand on that mythos, and I actually also heard a rumor that they're working on Force Unleashed 3 at some point. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens with this. But yeah, are you excited about it?
I'm excited. You know me, man. My gosh. How long have we been doing? How long have we been doing the show? How long have we been doing the show, man?
Long
Do you
time.
know my Do you know my love for Uncharted? Besides the movies, and I did go see
Yeah.
the movie, and I can't stand the movie, but I still support the movie. Just because I can't stand it doesn't mean I, again, goes back to that supporting video game entertainment thing. But you know
Yeah.
how much I love the games, and that she started, and the vision that she had for the games. I know it was taken over, and I know it's still on a good path for Uncharted if they go ahead and decide to revisit it. But yeah, I'm excited for this. I just want to go ahead and see something good in the Star Wars universe. Jedi Fallen Order has been a great way to go ahead and get back into Star Wars video games, and I expect nothing more, or I expect nothing less, with a game that's produced by Amy Hennig that's going to be in the Star Wars universe, to be something that we're really going to be that we're really going to end up enjoying, very much. So yeah, I'm really excited for it. Yeah, cannot wait. Cannot wait.
Yeah.
Yep. But your thoughts out there on a Star Wars video game that's being produced by Uncharted creator Amy Hennig. Please let us know your thoughts. Popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, my friend, it's been a great episode as always. We're talking, and we didn't even have a chance to go ahead and add some stuff I wanted to add in, which we'll talk about next week, which I'm really excited for. I won't mention what they are. You already talked about your Fantastic Beasts thoughts coming up, but also a great episode coming up with my good friend and fellow NAB person that's going to go with me to NAB at this week, and that is Melinda Barkhouse Ross. She is going to join me on the Friday show, so I'm looking forward to that. But any last thoughts before we head on out?
I think we got it all covered.
I'll tell you what, if you are an NAB this week, please go ahead and give me a shout out, give Melinda a shout out, shake our hand, tell us hi, do what you can to say you like the show, because we really love to hear from you. We're really looking forward to a great week at NAB, and also a great week right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. So for Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the Pop Culture Cosmos. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great